we'll make a start with just my wee initial bit. So welcome, I'll just take you through some of the housekeeping bits and pieces. It would be great just for now, as we get started, if you could just turn off your camera and keep your mic on mute just now. That way we can make sure that the picture doesn't jump about and things like that. That would be fantastic. Please do say hello in the chat, where you're from, what the weather's like. It's lovely to hear from you all. And if you have any questions as we go through as well, please do just pop them in the chat. My colleague Ian is from Education Scotland also on the call, so he'll be able to have a wee look, answer, field any questions as we go through. So this afternoon's session is all about skills for work, and just to give you an idea about what we at Education Scotland are here for, we're here to support you, and that is why we've started up this series of webinars. Our last one about lab skills was really successful, really pleased with some of the feedback that we got from colleagues about that, and about how they're now starting their own journey into lab skills, or the ones who have been delivering this for a couple of years, how they're now going to develop that and take their ideas further as well. So it's really lovely to welcome you all here. We do take a regional approach, so I am one of the STEM education officers, and I support the Tayside region. And for each RIC, Regional Improvement Collaborative, we've got a STEM officer. So if you're not sure who that is, get in touch and we will be able to put you in contact with your STEM officer. We're very keen to work in partnership with your good selves, but also with other agencies as well. We're very keen to ensure that our colleagues can access professional learning that is relevant to what's going on in their classroom just now. And once again, that's why we're hosting this particular session. We also want to provide opportunities for leadership and support colleagues as they help deliver the STEM strategy actions as well. Now, as I've said, my name is Jane Hamilton, and it's really lovely to welcome you all to this session. I'm one of the STEM education officers, but before I moved across on secondment to Education Scotland, I've been a biology teacher for far too long, what seems like, and in Scotland. I've worked in lots of different schools, different sectors, and it's really nice to be able to come over to EdScot and apply that knowledge of what's happening here as well. Okay, so we've now got over 40 people. Lovely, this is great. So the aim of this evening is to really inform and support colleagues. We want to make sure that you feel equipped, because things change so quickly, and we want to make sure that you have access and can make connections to colleagues who are trying something a wee bit different and are maybe a wee bit further along in their curriculum pathway journey. But want to let you hear from people who are at the chalk face just now, who are going to be able to share their experiences of delivering some of these different skills for work courses, or the level 4 MPAs too. It can be difficult whenever you want to make a change. So we need to have a wee think about, well, why should we change in the first place? You know, if it's not broken, all of that. How can you make the change happen? We'll hear from some of our colleagues, and I'm really pleased that they agreed to come and share their ideas with us this afternoon as well. And then if you have any questions at the end, you're more than welcome to pop on your camera, turn on your mic, and then just share your ideas and your thoughts as well. That would be great. So once again, thank you so much for coming here. And you're coming here because you want to know a wee bit more about how you can support all of the young people that are in your school, and to think about, well, why should we make a change to our curriculum offer within our school? And there's lots of reasons why we should do that. Whenever you think about the skills that our young people need, we have a workforce that's constantly changing, constantly evolving. So it's really important that we equip our young people with the skills that they need in order to enter the workplace. by widening the curriculum offer, we're increasing their employability, because they might be able to go straight into the workplace and then work their way up because they already have the skills and qualities that an employer is looking for. Whenever we look at labour market data, STEM is a growth industry within Scotland. And are we providing our young people with the pathways that they need to enter those career pathways? So it's really important that we have the big picture about what's on offer. And also we want to make sure that we're making this fair, we're making this equitable. Are we giving girls and boys the same opportunities to engage with physics, practical electronics, going into the built environment, things like that? Are we challenging those stereotypes? 3 of the key documents that you'll be aware of are the Skills 4.0 document, making it really clear about the meta skills that young people need to have if they're going to be successful in the workplace. The OECD report that was published back in the summer just really highlighted the need for skills-based learning and to make sure that young people have access to quality experiences within school. And then, of course, there's the National STEM Strategy, which we're all aware of too. So we know that we have a workforce that's going to need developing skills, knowledge and capabilities, but how can we as educators ensure that we're providing our young people with those opportunities? The second OECD report that came out about senior phase, this is the one that really resonated with me as a secondary teacher, because I've delivered, I don't know how many courses, you can go all the way back to intermediate 1, access 3, standard grade, kind of go all the way through until we hit, advanced higher, and all the rest of it. So I've been there and I've done all that. And this is the thing that really jumped out at me. It's this idea that we need to better integrate academic and vocational strands of the assessment system to offer a broader range of curriculum options. So as educators, whenever it comes to providing a curriculum for our young people, are we ensuring that we are meeting the needs of all those young people? Because we need to be more innovative in order to capture the wider range of the capabilities. It's not just about what they can revise and what they can remember. It's also about what they can do. And then maybe there's also an opportunity to rethink the role of teacher assessment and, of course, to better integrate these academic and vocational strands. So this was lifted straight from that document. And all the work I've done over the last few years with curriculum development, curriculum planning, it's really struck me that we need to try and cater for everyone. We can't keep trying to shoehorn our young people. Oh, we've only got that particular class running at that time, so therefore that's what you're going to have to do. What else can we do in order to make sure that we have the best possible outcomes for our young people? So why Skills for Work? So you've got your Skills for Work courses. There's also your Level 4, Level 5 national certificates, and then we've got some national progression awards as well. Once again, if you're not already familiar with the SQA catalogue, I recommend that you go in and have a wee look and see what's there. The running joke at my last school was that my party piece was being able to recite everything that was in the SQA catalogue. Not a very exciting party piece, I'm sure, but it was just, I'd spend so much time having a look and seeing what was there and seeing what was available, what could work, who do I need to talk to find out more about that. So all this type of thing is in there. So why should we go down the Skills for Work? Why not do what's wrong with the traditional Nat 5 higher and all of this type of thing as well? Absolutely nothing wrong with those, but we need to kind of broaden our horizons. Not just us, we need to broaden the kids' horizons as well to give them something that they're going to be able to succeed in. So with Skills for Work, this is where, and my experience of this as well is delivering lab skills. I've also delivered the Level 6 MPA in scientific technologies as well. So it's about meeting the needs of the kids that are in front of me. And I know my kids better than anyone else, and I know what they need and what they can be successful in. So it's about me making sure I have an understanding of what's available and what I can do then to support the young people that I work with. And sometimes we find that some young people can't access the traditional curriculum, shall we say, but by providing them, sorry Neil, I just have to giggle, it's chili Baltic, absolutely hilarious, such a Scottish thing to say, the positive attitudes to learning. And once I found that I was able to give young people an opportunity to do lab skills instead of being forced to do Nat 5 biology again and again, the attitude changed. They could see the purpose in what they were doing, they could see its relevance, they enjoyed what they were doing because it was all hands-on and practical. And within that, we were able to work on the skills and attitudes for employability. Quite a few of the time, quite a lot of the time I would spend going, would you speak to your boss like that? And we kind of went along those lines. And to give them an understanding of the workplace, so we would have, STEM ambassadors come in and talk about their experience. We would take them before COVID, we would take them out. We had a fantastic opportunity where we went to visit Diageo. We had Merck come in and speak to the kids and do lots of different tasks with them as well. So it gives them this understanding, and to have other adults come in, and explain to them, well, this is how my job works and this is how I do this. And it also allows them to develop the skills and knowledge in a broader vocational area, because a lot of them might think, oh, I don't think I could be a scientist, because they have these kind of concepts about what a scientist is, what they do. But once they can kind of come in to a skills for work course like lab skills, for example, it really does give them another way of kind of looking at things and saying, all right, oh, I can get this. Oh, yeah, so I'm getting the level 5 in this, Mrs. Hamilton. Absolutely. Oh, that's great. And it just seeing their kind of confidence come through from that. And then, of course, all the core skills that they work through as well. So their digital learning and so on, literacy, numeracy, all this encompassed in one as well. Now, I'll make this presentation available to you after this evening's webinar, and I've put links in for the different skills for work areas, a bit more background about them, and then some of the NCs and MPAs that are available within the sciences too. You'll be familiar with this diagram as well, the SCQF, Scottish Credit and Qualifications Framework. Once again, really useful. You've probably had Donny Wood come out to your school already and take you through what the different levels are and how you can talk to young people about it. And it's a great way of framing it and kind of letting them see where everything links in together. And not only for the pupils, but also for the parents as well. Because like me, you'll have sat in the parents' evening and you'll have had someone go, so Mrs. Hamilton, is that like an O grades? Is that like Findy Sat? I can't remember. And you're like, oh, right, okay. Not quite. However, whenever we look at this, you can see that the qualification they're going to be doing is equivalent to this one. And it just gives them, it just kind of settles them a wee bit more and makes them realise, well, yeah, they're still getting a really good qualification. Just because it's not one I've ever heard of before doesn't mean it's something that we can't go for and achieve. Getting staff on board with this as well and talking about it in terms of the level. Okay, so if we're doing level 5 lab science, you've got someone else doing level 5 biology, level 5 chemistry, level 5 physics, but they're still getting a level 5 qualification at the end of it. It's how they're assessed on it. That's the big difference between this. And the lovely thing about the skills, the majority of skills for work courses, again, especially within sciences and beyond, is that portfolio approach. You don't have to do everything all at once. It's about building up the skills and building up the confidence of the young people as we go as well. Before you make any change, it's so important to take that step back and think about, well, what's my intention? How am I going to implement this? And then how am I going to know if it's had any impact? So it's this basic kind of planning for improvement attitude to have before you go in and make any change. And our colleagues who are here this evening are going to be able to share a little bit more about their experience. And whenever you want to make a change for whatever course it happens to be in, it was lab skills, because there was, what else can I offer the young people that I'm working with? So I had to think about, well, what do I already know? What we're going to do, but why am I doing it? Am I doing it to make me look good, or am I doing it because the kids need it? You know, am I doing it for change sake, or am I doing it because the kids need it? And every time always comes back to, is this the right thing for our young people in our setting at this time? And once you've had a look at your data, your uptake, how many are kids repeating that several times? It's that time to evaluate and be quite brutal with yourself as well, within the department, to have those critical conversations, have that professional dialogue. How are you going to do it? How are you going to put the change in place? Now, my experience was it takes time and you can't rush it, or else you're not going to see the impact at the end of it. Everything go perfectly? Probably not, because at the end of the day, we're working with young people, and mistakes will be made, human error, and so on. That's fine, because you overcome that and then you move on. So how are you going to do it? How are you going to, what's going to be your short, medium, long-term impact, all of that type of thing. So you can look at your SIMD data, you can look at site data, you can do some self-evaluation tasks within your department, within your faculty, or even potentially at a whole school level, to kind of see where you're at, where you want to go, and then you come up with your plan to decide, right, okay, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to get everyone on board and we're going to do this collaboratively. So that's my initial about. Now, our colleague from Shawlands Academy, so Conor Cunningham, unfortunately, is not feeling very well. Poor fella's lost his voice. Once again, happens. It just must be a feature of being a teacher. So unfortunately, Conor wasn't able to share with, but he has said anybody would like to get in contact with him about what is on offer, then please do. So I'm just going to give you a wee whistle-stop tour of Shawlands Academy in Glasgow do with regards to science and health. And this is one that I was quite interested in as well, because I've the Nat4 science into level 5 laboratory science, and then into the 6 scientific technologies MPA. But this would tie in really well too. That would be quite interesting as well. And with the science and health MPA, you're taking a unit from national science, one from National 4 chemistry, one from National 4 physics. You're also taking one from health sector as well. So if you've already got some of these up and running already, it's just a case of, right, okay, who do we need to talk to? So do the chemists have some of this stuff? Do you have some of this stuff? What can we do? What's our baseline? And then you could potentially work at it like that. With the science practical skills, these are ones that tend to be interwoven through, and then they would do write-ups and things like that in order to show, and that's their evidence. So you observing them and then doing the write-up, and then that's their evidence of that. So the content is the 4 units plus the science practical skills. And how they operate this in Shawlands is in year 1, which would be S3, so they do their course choicing at the end of S2. So in S3, they would have a look at human health and nature's chemistry, and then in S4, they would have a look at practical skills, and then waves and radiation. So you can see how they've managed to break it up, spread it out a wee bit so the kids can get right into this. And then you can also draw in, your STEM ambassadors. I know we've got some folk on from Circ this afternoon as well. So once again, they're there to help. If you ever need a wee contact there, Kerry Haynes is the STEM ambassador link for Circ. And once again, she'd be more than happy to support you if you wanted to get STEM ambassador and on board with that. Now, for progression for this one as well, like I was saying, so because you've got a wee bit of science, now, I don't know if anyone's ever taught that for science before, human health, it's great. It's like the old intermediate one, biology, unit 1, the physiology, health and exercise one. And so they get to do loads of stuff. You link it into sport, and they do their blood pressure, all this type of things, loads that you could do. So much relevance there as well, to what's going on in the world around them, a wee bit about immunity. Once again, fantastic. Your colleagues in chemistry and physics would be able to support the delivery of the other units there as well. Connor said for a typical lesson, there's going to be practical work involved. So it's kind of like, well, that's a wee bit like, laboratory science as well, because it's near enough every time they were in class, have them doing something, or they're writing something up from the last lesson, or they're making a link with something else, or they're researching something else. And there is a lot of practical involved in it. However, with a collaborative approach, so drawing on all that expertise that you have within a science faculty, of course, this is something that could be possible. And also maybe look at supports for class, because there's a significant proportion of young people with English as an additional language. Have some young people with ASN needs as well. So can you collaborate with your ASN department as well to have a think about, well, how could this potentially run? It's very much a portfolio approach to assessment as well. So they build up their portfolio as they progress through the course, and then everything's there. And then they've got their pack of evidence ready to go at the end of the 2 years. Now, whenever they think about who this would suit, once again, you have to go back to your data. So what's your tracking and monitoring look like? Are they looking at skills as well? And general S2 attainment as well. Now, like I said, with the science and health, it's a really nice alternative. There's also science and technology as well. The units are slightly different in that one, but information for that is available on the SQA website as well. Now, I really wish Connor could have been here to share his enthusiasm and excitement, about being able to deliver this, because they've taken a really fab collaborative approach about this at Shawlands, and the young people have responded so well to this because they have an opportunity to achieve. So we'll just move on just now, and like I said, I will make the slides available for everyone, so you'll have Connor's email address, because he did say please do reach out, because he's more than happy, to answer any questions and support anyone else who might be interested in delivering the Level 4 MPA in Science and Health. And I think because of the progression into health sector or lab science, or even into energy as well, there's lots of opportunities to be able to use this as part of a bigger progression pathway as well within your faculty. Okay, now I did promise that you weren't going to be listening to me all afternoon, so I'm going to hand over to Mark McShane from Kinross High School, who's going to share a wee bit about their experience of delivering practical electronics. Mark, over to yourself.
Thank you, Jane. Good afternoon, everybody. Can somebody confirm that they can hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Cool, thank you very much. As Jane said, my name is Mark McShane. I'm Principal Teacher, Faculty of Science at Kinross High School, where it's overcast, but there's a little bit of blue sky and it's windy. That's not me, that's the weather. So I'll try and get through this fairly quickly. I've got a single slide there, and I'll go through it sort of starting from the beginning. It just says the clues in the name. The National 5 in Practical Electronics is very much about practical work. And as you can see, it comprises a 30% theory test paper, which is sat in the normal SQA diet. But most of the time, the students are working in a practical way. I suppose what I would suggest there is that thinking about things that Jane said, what would be the rationale for running this? We looked at the cohort. There was a requirement from the school, a demand, I suppose you would say, but not in a negative sense, that we try to broaden our offering. And we looked at two groups, really, students that were going into S5 who'd done physics, who didn't necessarily want to follow the traditional higher route, and other students as well. This is not up and running yet, but it is an option. Students who at the end of S3 are maybe not doing so well with the National 5 and might want to find, that's to say National 5 in physics, and might want to continue with a subject in that area with a view to coming back to physics later on. It is possible to do this course in 1 year. That's the way we run it. So, there's different groups of students who might do this. We have some students who elect to do it as a standalone just because they want to. There's no suggestion that it's a less useful qualification. So we have higher students who are doing higher physics, are also doing practical electronics. They've chosen that as well. We even have advanced higher students doing advanced higher physics as well as other subjects within faculty, but have chosen to do practical electronics too. So it appeals to a variety of students, and we do have, I have to say this year there are no girls in the course. Last year there was about 30% girls, and I know that the current uptake, a number of girls have approached who have expressed with the choice forms an interest in taking it next year, so it does appeal to a variety of students. As I say, there's a 30% theory test element. This is just a test paper, and down the left-hand side you can see that they study sort of basic electricity, QIT, Ohm's law, resistances in series and parallel. We look at the resistor colour code, and they learn how to quantify the value of a resistor. Circuit symbols obviously become very important when you're doing layout diagrams and constructing circuits. And they do voltage dividers. And I suppose the obvious thing that's missing there is that measurement techniques. So they learn how to use ammeters, voltmeters, ohmmeters. And that's the sort of theoretical basis. And we normally tackle that first, probably say up till about October is usually the sort of time scale we're looking at to cover that piece of the work. And then they sit their 30% paper in the normal SQA diet. Then the second aspect, which is the majority of the work, is the assignment, and there's more than one offering there in terms of what the SQA has offered for different assignment tasks that the students can go through, and it's a very holistic thing. They have to do follow a brief, learn about block diagrams, go through strip board and prototype board layout and testing. There's a computer simulation requirement. So, you know, in terms of resourcing, you do need to look at this carefully before you start. And you have to have that availability as well. We have what we call lap-safe trolleys that move around the school, and you need to make sure that you've got, maybe not all the time, but certainly a significant time when you've got access to those devices. We tend not to take the students to a suite, rather we bring the machines to us, but you could do that. In terms of the construction, they learn soldering skills. Obviously there's a significant safety aspect around that, and again we have ventilation in the classroom, eye protection and so forth. They take to that pretty quickly and really generally can't get onto it fast enough because it's doing stuff and they like that. They build up their circuit diagrams on paper. They then build them up on prototype boards, and then they eventually move to a simulation, and that allows them to test out different values of components. And when they think they've got a working model, they can then go ahead and construct it. The image in the two images on the left, which actually seem to be the same image, so that's not very good, is it? Show what the room can look like. You know, we've got 20 kids in one class. That's busy. So you can have some students standing at desks working on soldering, and others sitting standing at benches working on soldering, and others sitting down at desks getting on with other tasks. The image in the bottom right, not the extreme right, but the one in the middle there, shows a completed assignment task. And the important part now is for centres who are considering this to understand what you're taking on. So the text at the bottom. You apply for, I'm not sure I've got the right term there, pre-verification, but you apply to do the course, and someone will to provide the course, and someone will come and check that you have the necessary arrangements in terms of equipment and safety and skills there. It sounds arduous, but it's not, and it's reassuring to know that you've been given the okay and you've got what you need. You can also use that to provide more evidence of what you require as a centre to deliver this. Register the students through the normal channels, and then you work your way through the content. And as I say, initially we do the theory, and then we move on to the project brief. I would always recommend as a science teacher that any practical you're doing, you do it yourself before you do it with the students, and that's almost definitely the case with this course. You want to have a go at building some of these projects yourself to see what the pitfalls are. The key points as you go through the course, as you're delivering it, are you want to have a proper internal verification process in place. And I know we may all be, have mixed feelings about those phrases, but we have developed documentation that allows us to, in tandem with the project brief and the course documentation, the course description, we know exactly what needs to be assessed. It's not just the building of the circuit, it's the testing, it's the students recording their progress and keeping their logbook up to date, it's the evaluation, all of these things. You know, you can build this project and it doesn't work. That doesn't mean you're not going to pass. How did you go about it? What did you do? Did you record things? They have to price the components they need, things like that. So you, as an assessor, you want to have somebody else there who's verifying your assessment. You know, and generally what will happen is my colleague will do the assessment and then I'll go through with student evidence and check off what he's decided and we agree it or don't agree it. It's quite a good process. And then obviously you need to keep complete and accurate records. You can end up with a lot of material, you know, physical material in terms of boards and stuff like that. We generally keep them for a few years and then they're going to get thrown out. And that's pretty much all I would say about that. What have I said? We've done some other things. We've teamed up with local companies like WL Gore of Gore-Tex. They're based in Dundee, and one of the people that work there is a parent. So we went out, and a group of kids were able to see these processes that they were undergoing in action in industry. And that's about all I would say about that. I hope that's not too lengthy. Jane?
Not at all. Thank you so much, Mark. And this is the thing, folks, you know, we're wanting to give you an idea of the experience that's happening right now, you know, in schools, and also the things, the potential barriers and things that you might need to overcome in order to put these in place. And that was really insightful, you know, and you know, trying the experiments before, because I think we've all thought, we're like, oh, it'll be grand, what could go wrong? Usually does.
I don't know if you want me to take questions just now or how you want to do this.
We'll leave questions to the end if that's okay. And we should be going next to Ashley. So thank you so much. So Mark will still be here just at the end, if you do have any questions. So I was kind of looking down my list. So Ashley Willis from Bathgate Academy has sent us through the next little bit. So I'm not sure, and we've had some issues with people actually being able to get into the call, which is such a shame. So Ashley, if you're there, it'd be great if you could just unmute. If not, I will be able to go through the information that's just shared with us. Let's see. No, that's fine, because like I said, we have had some technical difficulties, and we'll be able to kind of take you through this little bit about engineering skills. Now, this one absolutely fascinates me for engineering skills, because whenever I worked for Stirling Council, I did a bit of an overview into what the engineering pathways in schools were, and it's difficult, you know, to kind of put these in and for people to potentially see the relevance of them as well. But things like engineering skills, not to be confused with engineering science, okay? So there are two very different courses, especially with how we deliver them, and maybe the young people who would be suitable for these as well, okay? So within the Skills for Work MPA, you've got your 4 units. So design, manufacture, electrical, electronic maintenance, and mechanical and fabrication. So within this, there is the young people will be building their design skills and coming up with a portfolio as well. They'll look at fabrication, so they'll be doing lots of measuring, cutting, designing, and producing a piece of work at the end of it. Problem solving skills as well, because once again, we want to make sure that they're able to be, you know, resilient, solution focused, especially as we're trying to get them to develop their skills as they enter the world of work. And for some young people with the engineering skills qualification, it could be a springboard for them to go work in the built environment industry. It could well be construction or another pathway within that. But because they have these design skills, have a knowledge of fabrication, problem solving and so on, it will make it a lot easier for them to have an understanding of what the workplace is like. I'm just giving us some examples of the work that the young people have been able to undertake within that. Now, I think there is some metal work involved as well. And once again, Ashley would be the person to talk to, and once again, we'll be able to share her email address with you after this. And so with that, so they're really getting quite a broad overview of design industry within, but also how that links then to engineering as well. So they've got the mechanical skills, so they learn how to use all the big bits of equipment. So it's be similar to, I'm thinking practical woodwork, practical metalwork, practical electronics, which we've just heard about as well. So it's along these lines where we're actually showing them the skills that they're going to use in the workplace. So whenever they do go for their interview for a modern apprenticeship, anything like that, then they're going to be able to talk the talk and give examples of the things that they can do, the tools that they can use, the health and safety aspects of the job as well, and be confident in their ability to discuss that too. So there is an element of electrical and electronic in it as well. So once again, they'll be getting the soldering irons out and making sure that they have, once again, it's all about getting in the basics. And then once again, once they've got the level 4, they can then build that into level 5 and then potentially into level 6 as well. So the course can be achieved. Once again, it's their knowledge. We're building up their skill set, and they learn through the practical activities that they do as well. There is a report that they'll have to complete at the end of it. So I suppose in a way it would be very similar to potentially an AVU type idea, or if you think about lab skills, you've got your unit 4 and then you've got your big investigation write-up you have to do at the end. So it's that type of thing. And once again, we're assessing the kids on what they're doing, not on their ability to write. It's about, well, how can they communicate that effectively? Can they communicate that in a way, are there photographs and things like that to back it up as well? And an employability skills evaluation. And this is one of the things that I really enjoy skills for work courses. And I think it's probably because I usually look at it with a DYW hat on. And it's a case of we spend a lot of time getting them to think really, well, what skill did you use doing that? How would that work in the workplace? What's the relevance of this, do you think, to an employer? How could you talk to an employer about this? And once again, it's building up their skill set, building up their confidence as well, so they can then see the pathway that they could potentially take. And with engineering skills in particular, this is a perfect vehicle. Now, once again, it could sit within the sciences. It could sit with your colleagues down in technical as well, or it could potentially be done between the two. So there's lots of scope. So if you're thinking about it as a timetable, it's like, oh, how are we going to manage this one? Well, why not have half and half? Half in science, half in technical, and have those colleagues take a very much, multidisciplinary approach to the delivery of the course, because there's a few other courses. So for example, the level 6 MPA in scientific technologies, we delivered that across science and maths as well. So the maths department was able to lead with the maths unit. So it's about thinking creatively and about how we can potentially, change what we're doing, but still making sure that the young people are getting the best experience possible. So engineering skills, it's still quite a new course. I think Bathgate is one of the few centres that has it run at different levels and has it all set up. There are a few other schools out there who are delivering it. But once again, it's one of these ones that's kind of up and coming, because we can see the relevance of it for the young people. We can see how this links in to the world of work as well. So I'm going to hand over now to Pam Mcgregor, who I did see pop in, who's going to talk a wee bit about the experience that the young people have at Lark Hall Academy. Hello, Pam. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I was kind of listening in there. Thanks for the invite. I'll be quite quick. I'm Pam Mcgregor. I'm PTC Science at Lark Hall Academy, and first of all I have to basically not take all the credit for this myself. I've got a very, very strong biology department who developed the course. There's 5 units. I had 5 biology teachers. They developed the course a number of years ago. I think we've been running it here for 5 years. And it's been very, very successful for us. I think you'll know yourself in your own cohort who it would be suitable for, and it depends on your curricular model. So at the moment, our curricular model is we do pick 8 subjects like the old kind of standard grade in 3rd year. They drop 1 at the end of 3rd year and do 7 subjects, 4 periods a week, but they have to keep on what they picked in 3rd year. And then senior phase is 5 subjects for 5th years and 4 subjects for 6th years. So for our cohort, we run this only in the senior phase in S5 and S6. However, I do know that other schools in our local authority and I think West Lothian run the health sector for 4th year pupils. We're about to go through a curricular change, so I think we will bring that in for 4th year to help us basically get National 5 by the end of S4. So for us, we find that it's suitable for 6th year pupils who have already gained their 5 higher qualifications, and for 5th year pupils who haven't yet achieved 5 National 5 qualifications. So their progression in our school is from Nat 4 biology into Nat 5 health sector, because they maybe don't have the cognitive skills and abilities to get Nat 5 biology. So we offer this as an alternative. Or they're in 6th year and they're leaving and they're going on to pursue some form of career in health sector. So we've got people that have aspirations to apply for medicine in the course. We've got pupils that want to do like primary teaching in the course, or they want to work in the emergency services. Any job in the health sector, basically the kids come in to do that. So you'll know your own cohort. We have a really, really good experience. All the assessment is internal at the moment. So they range from like doing posters and leaflets to cover tasks. They do presentations to the whole class. They do role plays. So there's one where they have to role play that being a nurse, somebody comes in with a condition and they've got to use 2 pieces of apparatus. So it could be blood pressure monitors, peak flow meters, which I'm sure you'll all be familiar with from 1st and 2nd year courses. And they pretend they're the nurse and they have to go through a checklist to pass that wee bit of the outcome. They improve all their soft skills over the year, so that we do a mock interview as part of that. They do 3 skills analysis over the course of the year. And we also run a health exhibition, so we bring the seniors in to do, that's the picture down the bottom left corner, is our health exhibition, which we've done virtually for the last 2 years. So the pupils basically will take an aspect of health and they'll present that to S1 pupils in the year. They also do CPR training as part of one of the units. And again, we get our pupils here to go and do like the Heart Start programme for our 1st year. So that's been very successful as well. It is a really, really good CV or UCAS statement booster. So we've actually had pupils gain a job in the health sector during S5. So somebody got a job in a pharmacy during S5 because of their experience in health sector. So it's been really, really good for that. There's 5 units, Jane. I don't know if you can flick on to the slides with the checklist on it. So yeah, there's 5 units you've got there, and that's our checklist. Where I've put a Y down the box, those are ones that are essential to pass the course. So the physiology of the heart, the cardiovascular system's got an open book assessment, a role play as a nurse, demonstrate CPR on a mannequin in there, and then the unit underneath that, you can't quite see the title of it, it's the life sciences, so they do a load of things there. There's 5 units: improving health and well-being, working in the health sector, working in non-clinical roles, physiology of the cardiovascular system and life sciences, and they just do a number of tasks that are internally assessed to get their Nat 5 qualification. It's really, really good. We've actually this year for the first time had 3 ASN pupils progress from Nat 4 biology into health sector. They've done really, really well. They've done the presentations, the CPR and everything, and they've got the Nat 5 qualification there. So it depends on your cohort really who it's suitable for, but we run in the senior phase at the moment. I don't think there's really anything else that we can add there apart from it. It just adds value, not just to the pupils, but to the whole school. It's such a great course for everything. We also had HMIE come in maybe actually we were the last school to be inspected before COVID struck, and we were inspected in February 2020, and the HMIE really liked the course being run because of the opportunities for peer education with our 5th and 6th years teaching the first year. So that was really positive.
That's fab, Pam, and that's the thing that really struck me whenever you sent the information through. It's that you've got the big ones teaching the wee ones, and the wee ones will just absolutely adore that, just getting that attention from the really cool 5th and 6th years, and and the fact that it's involves like a whole school kind of approach to it as well. I just think it's fantastic, and it's one of those courses where it was next on my list of things to do before.
I will say as well, I've asked a question about the budget. The health sector is very, very low budget. It's bits of photocopying. It's cheap to run. And pretty much every single pupil, if they attend, gets a Nat 5 qualification out of it.
That's awesome. It really is. And the thing is, because it's like you were talking about, like the blood pressure, and if they're doing like their nursing checklist, because any biology department, will have at least one blood pressure monitor, or else you just do the old fashioned take your pulse or whatever. But there's ways and means around that, or even sharing equipment and things like that with other schools. There's always ways and means, to get around things like that. But I think once again, absolutely fascinating. And I think that link with the allied health professionals as well, where the kids can actually use the school experience to go and get a job. It's absolutely amazing, and that's the whole point of these courses, and why we want to really encourage, lots of schools to kind of have a think about, right, like you were saying, your kids, your cohort, who this would work for, who it wouldn't work for. So who do you think would really benefit from this in your setting, and is it something that could potentially work for you? So thank you again, Pam, for sharing that with us.
No worries. And also, SQA are about to update the course. I don't know whether it'll be for next session or the session after, so just be aware of that as well, that it is about to get updated.
Right, okay. And I think that might apply to some of the other courses as well, with reform and things like that coming up. But thank you so much. Folks, now that is us. More or less sorted. Now, we don't want you to rush away. If you do have any questions and we'd like to have a chat, you're more than welcome to do that now. So next step, so where do we go from here? It's a case of, right, give yourself time to reflect. And I always feel really flippant whenever I say that, because obviously you're very busy people in schools in the middle of a pandemic and so on. So take the time to reflect and think about, well, what are we doing well? Where's the gap and things like that. If you haven't already done so, please join the network, and I'd really encourage you to share this with your colleagues and ask them, join the network, the webinars. There's a huge range of opportunities available, for staff to connect with each other and learn from each other as well. If you'd like to engage with some professional dialogue with myself, or maybe the STEM officer for your region, then please once again get in contact with us and let us know. There's a curriculum design rubric actually that I find particularly useful in supporting some of the senior leadership teams in the region that I'm working in just now, and it helps you get a baseline for where you're at just now. So it helps you look at, well, what's our progression like? Are our courses coherent? Is there breadth? Is there depth? And things like that as well. So that's quite a useful tool, and if anybody would like a copy of that, I'm more than happy to share that with you as well. We also have the STEM self-evaluation framework, once again, a useful tool to help you get a baseline for where you're at just now. Now, it is potentially more whole school, looking at the kind of STEM approach to it, but it would definitely be relevant within the sciences as well. So like I said, we are going to leave it open for questions as well, but please do be aware that our next session is actually next week. We're spoiling you for choice in March, I'm telling you. So our next session is next week, and it's with, no problem, Mrs. Garrett, I'll make sure I get a wee copy of that out to you. So we're having a look at data and how Dingwall Academy have actually used data to kind of really shift how they look at it, and also how it's impacted on learning and teaching, particularly within the BGE as well, and then how that can then impact on the senior phase whenever it comes to course choice and things like that. So through looking at their data and doing a real deep dive into it, I know it's made a huge difference to the young people and what they can then go into in senior phase as well. So absolutely fascinating insight of that. So that is there for you as well. Finally, I'll leave this up, and if anybody wants to ask any questions. So we do have a little evaluation form for you to do, because once again, this is only going to work if we're doing the things that you need us to do.